Three times. 4 times. Doing gang things. Living super clean. That done came up. Can't control us. 1 time for the men doing cane thing. Dead fresh to the T, living super clean. 3 times for my folk that done came up. 4 times cause the man can't control us. 1 time for the men doing cane thing. Dead fresh to the T, living super clean. 3 times for my folk that done came up. 4 times cause the man can't control us. Look at you done came up now. Get it how you live, mess the game up now. Ain't messing with yoga, but get the flame up. Hey, used to be Toby, but got your name back now. I see ya, paid under pressure. 25 lighters got them all on the dresser. If it ain't for you, ain't for you then. If you a lame or a sucker, wanna dress you then. Grown up now, bump the childish ways. Got a wife and a bunch of kids to raise. Punch a clock side, hustle or a business you endure to ensure that all the bills is paid. Slow clap for your homeboy. Could've turned out like your homeboy. Been on the same block, cooking up the same rock on the cell block lot with your homeboy. But no, you had vision, you had gold. Brand new you on the old time road. Take care of home where you bust your low. Black men don't cheat, screaming bunty hoe. Real men talk, real king ways. Still in captivity, but minds ain't slave. Got a little wisdom, boy, you PD grade. Giving out the knowledge on the stoop these days. 1 time for the men doing cane thing. Dead fresh to the T, living super clean. 3 times for my folk that done came up. 4 times cause the man can't control up. 1 time for the men doing cane thing. Dead fresh to the T, living super clean. 3 times for my folk that done came up. 4 times cause the man can't control up. 1 time for the folk that have moved up. Even if you had a slow start screwed up. Used to gang bang, now homie brewed up. Had a little plan, I had them blew up. Look at you like a man right now. Dressed to the T, smelling like a grand right now. And you ain't got nothing from a handout now. Just faith and hard work, gets it planned out now. You could've took a bunch of dusty roads. The hand dealt with a bunch of cards to fold. To stay hot while the world is freezing cold. The same plot, but the story's never old. Slow clap for your kinfolk. Could've been asking what your info. Prosecutor could be trying to do you in for the 2020 twins, so you passing out the info. But no, you had purpose, you had plans. I ain't throwing nothing, I'ma say these bands won't impress y'all, don't need no fans. That ain't my God, who is that, man? This real men talk, real king ways. Still in captivity, but minds ain't slave. Got a little wisdom, boy, you peep these grades. Giving out the knowledge on the stoop these days. 1 time for the men doing cane thing. Dead fresh to the T, living super clean. 3 times for my folk that came up. 4 times cause the man can't control up. 1 time for the men doing cane thing. Dead fresh to the T, living super clean. 3 times for my folk that came up. 4 times cause the man can't control up. Yeah, real man. Sheesh. Yeah. Doing cane things. Living super clean. That came up.
1 time for my king doing king things. Mom these hoes cause you know he got a good thing. I submit and I cook and I clean and I never hold back on that pop, I'ma let it rain. Made me honest, I got a ring. All praises to the most high, let it sing. A real man able, sister never came. And I ain't going nowhere, this is not a game. Look at you, girl, you lonely right now. Settling for bums instead of men the most high. He provide and protect so he get our respect. And he leading us aboard when them chariots fly. I don't really think you hear me though. You can't cross this bridge on some billy goats. Let them save you in the end like a Seminole. Beers help me, shout to let the silly go.
1 time for the men doing cane thing. Dead fresh to the T, living super clean. 3 times for my folk that came up. 4 times cause the man can't control up. 1 time for the men doing cane thing. Dead fresh to the T, living super clean. 3 times for my folk that came up. 4 times for the men.
Shalom and shalom, sisters and cousins, and praise the Lord, saints. It's your favorite housewife, Miss Mono. Shalom, shalom, good evening. Shabbat shalom to you if you are observing and the sun is still upon you. I think we have a few more minutes of sun here in the southeast, but greetings and salutations to you all. And of course, all praises to the Most High, right? For life, for health, for strength, for being here, for the Wi-Fi working. I posted the other day, like whenever I go to get on TikTok, my network is always unstable. All of a sudden, the Wi-Fi is deteriorating. Someone said it's going the way of the rest of the country. What can you say? If that's the way it's going. that's the way it's going. So tonight on Why Boaz Don't Want Your Ass, I want to have a kind of little different conversation. We're gonna do the what's going on in Babylon. I got a few things to talk to y'all about with that. But then I want to talk about the black woman in her eternal childhood. I want to talk about the our lack what seems to be the lack of emotional maturity in black women as a whole. And we see it, right, when people are always talking about how black women don't want to take accountability, how we're always making these outrageous demands and our standards are always matching those demands. So we're going to talk about that this evening as well. Sidebar, something that I'm in love with right now. These carpet cleaning ASMR videos on Facebook. I don't know if y'all have seen them, but I don't even know how I started watching them, but I just started watching one. And once you watch one, they bring you all the rest of them. So yeah, I've just been really watching them. It's really satisfying to watch the way they clean them. Okay. Just wanted to share that with y'all. Before we get into what's going on in Babylon, I have to shout out my wonderful, magnificent, oh so awesome hubby, Monologue McGad. If you are on Facebook, Instagram, please head over to the YouTube at Monologue McGad, MONOLOGMAGAD. This way you can take part of the conversation. Like, share, subscribe. If you're on YouTube, like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications so you know when we go live here at the House of Mono. In case you don't know, in case you're looking for me on the socials, I am the wife of Mono. So please follow me, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. Angelina, Shalom and Shalom, sis. I know I missed y'all last week. Let me tell y'all, listen, it was a good, I don't even want to call it a problem. Like, it was a good situation. All praises, the Print Doctors is booming right now. In case you guys don't know, that is our screen printing company. And we were able to land some contracts with some really big schools and churches. So we have been printing. That's why I wasn't able to be with y'all last week, because I had to help out there. Okay. That's one of the moments where I had to prioritize, but wife, home comes first. So I did miss you guys, but I'm here now. So we'll get on with what we got to get on with today. Again, like, share, subscribe. Hit the like button for me. Tell a neighbor, tell a friend. I did listen. This first, what's going on in Babylon? It's okay. I'm gonna just say it. The lady, if you and I use that term lady loosely, the being that accused Emmett Till of staring at her and all these other things that led to his death. Yes, that lady is no longer with us. She passed earlier today. Shalom and Shalom, Brianza. Thank you for joining me. She passed today. And the reactions have been mixed, to say the least. I know we were taught like, oh, don't speak ill of the dead and all this good stuff, but I have nothing nice to say about that at all. At the end of the day, she lied and caused the murder of a 14-year-old simply because he was black. So anyway, on to our next topic and what's going on in Babylon. Did y'all know that Red Table Talk was canceled? That definitely deserves a couple rounds of applause. Yes. The talk show that was on Facebook Watch with Jada Pinkett and her mom and her daughter, the one that she got on and publicly humiliated her husband by talking about the affair that she had with August Alsina. Yes, all that is coming to an end on Facebook Watch. Unfortunately, they are now shopping this show to other places. And trust me, like, yeah, exactly. Yes. Because this trash need to be gone. And here's the thing. Like, Jada Pinkett Smith is just such a horrible example for black women. She's a horrible example of a wife. she's a horrible example to women, period. Okay. I just the words, the words that I'm looking for here. And people want to try to have sympathy because, oh, she has alopecia. And don't get me wrong, like, I don't think alopecia is a joke at all. I understand it's a very serious illness. But what you cannot do is um live in such a exhibit such demeaning and degrading behavior, right? And then when it's time for you to answer for that behavior, lean on something that has nothing to do with your behavior. I'm sorry that you have alopecia. What does that have to do with you being a hoe? The two have nothing to do with each other. Okay. And that's gonna kind of get into, what we're gonna talk about um later on tonight. Hey, Nikki Nicole, shalom and shalom. Thank you for joining me, sis. That's gonna get into what we're gonna talk about tonight. And yeah, let's just get into it because I want to take my time and go through this because I really feel like it's something we need to address, all of us. All of us. Um in the past, right? In the past few years, there has been a large outcry reportedly from Black women complaining about the immaturity of Black men, the lack of emotional development in Black men, um, the discussions about why is it so hard, to date and all this other stuff. And so what we have now is apparently a school of thought among Black women that if I proclaim to have these absurdly unreasonable and high standards, that is going to help develop the character of the men around me, and somehow lead to this happiness that's been eluding me. And you're probably like, well, what do you mean by that? If you scroll on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, any of these wonderful social networks that we have access to, you will find no shortage of Black women um, coaching other Black women on how to set ridiculously high standards for the men that they will accept, are looking to accept, are looking to date, or are looking to marry. Mary Lou, shalom and shalom. Thank you for joining me, sis. They'll get on here, and they'll talk about how, a man has to come correct and be willing to pay all their bills, and they're not dealing with no crazy baby mamas. He has to be making this much money. He has to look like this. He can't live with his parents. All these ridiculous standards that have nothing to do with what it really takes to maintain a relationship. That's first and foremost. But then where this lack of maturity on the part of the Black woman comes in is the fact that you don't meet any of the standards that you want to have for someone else. Okay. And I'm going to tell you what we're not taught to consider. We're not taught to consider the fact that you're looking for a man to come in and claim responsibility for you because that's what a man does when he marries you. But that's not explained to us, so we don't get that. But you're looking for a man to come in and take responsibility of you for you, not just financially. The world would have you think it's just financially, right? And that's why you feel okay saying the ridiculous things that you say. Because you feel like, oh, as long as he comes in and provides and I don't have to work, then it's all good. But the thing is, we are looking for such ridiculously rare men that they are not going to tolerate any kind of behavior that you feel like, offering at the time, especially from someone who is carrying their last name or, is in the running or whatever the case may be, to be a representation of himself. See, when you're exacting these standards, you're forgetting to compensate for the whole person. And I could say that that is because you yourself are not meeting those standards. So you don't understand the thought process behind someone who's worked hard to get to the point that you want him. What do I mean by that? A lot of y'all want a man making six figures or more, and you already want him to have it established when you get there. You're not interested in helping him start a business, open a business. You're not interested in doing the books. You don't want to answer the phone calls. You won't check the emails. You don't want to do anything. He should already have all this established when you come in. And for some reason, you just feel like you're so wonderful that you just get to what? Sit around and look pretty? Okay. Um, and here's the thing, right? We're so quick to talk about women who do that. And you could say that about me. Sure. Yeah, I help my husband build what we have here proudly and happily. You know, I'm glad I helped my husband build what we have here. I don't think people understand what it means to be a housewife. A lot of times as a housewife, your contributions to the financial well-being of your family are not immediately recognized because that's not my primary role. If I never lift a finger to contribute toward my family's financial well-being, my husband handles that. Okay. But the fact of the matter is, as a cooperative helpmeet, I do lift fingers in that direction. You understand what I'm saying? But that's not immediately recognized because that's not my primary role. And so it is easy sometimes to feel overlooked, to feel taken for granted, because as a society, so much emphasis is placed on the financial gain of your household, right? Um, the role every other role of a woman is diminished. We know that we talk about it all the time. How nobody appreciates the unpaid domestic labor. Nobody appreciates, the mental load that you go through as a mom. So there are other things besides finances that need to be contributed to, but in the grand scheme of things, and I'm not saying it's wrong because you need money to do just about everything. You need money to eat, you need money for water. You can't get anything for free. Okay. So I'm not saying it's wrong, but what I'm saying is for a woman who is making decisions about her life and is sitting back with the attitude of, oh, I just want to fall into some rich man's lap, you have to really start thinking about your sense of self-worth and how is that going to carry you through the rest of your life. Okay. But see, this is what I'm saying about emotional immaturity, because emotional immaturity just says, oh, I just want these things, I just want to live like this, I just feel like these things should be handed to me. But the fact of the matter is, it doesn't work like that in life. And I have to say, the thing that you don't work for is the thing that someone can snatch and take away from you. Y'all saw Waiting to Exhale, and now all of a sudden you refuse to help a man build a business. And I have to ask, what personal experience, story, antidote, or anything have you heard or witnessed to validate this feeling in your mind? A lot of us, hear these fables of what this man did to this woman, and all of a sudden, all Black men are dogs and not worthy of our help. But we are the same women that will complain when he hook up with Becky in college, when Becky is making him sandwiches and dropping them off to him at the hospital, wherever he doing his residency, wherever he got his internship, when Becky is packing his ice water and taking it out there to the practice field before, while he still got dreams of making it to the NFL. Y'all will get mad you get mad about women from other races supporting a Black man on his come up. And that's totally wrong. The oral surgeon I used to work for wound up marrying a lady from Peru. And he told me, he was like, no, I dated Black women. He's like, I love Black women. He said, but she was the one that was up cooking me breakfast before I left for my residency. She was the one that was bringing me lunch to the hospital, making sure I had food to eat. The Black girls wasn't doing that. When he came to town to visit the Black woman that he was dating that had a child, she had another man in the house. You can't keep treating Black men like dogs until you feel like now you want to start being treated decently or treating other people decently, but now you're mad because nobody's there for you to kick around anymore. That's not right. It's just like how, you always want to talk about how men, soy, blah, so they're royal oats, and, they're out there living their life and stuff like that. Let me explain something to you. A man can get right up out the gutter from laying with you and wash himself off and still be Mr. So and so and Mr. Such and such. You, my friend, will always be known as laying in the gutter. No, and here's the reality that we have been convinced doesn't exist. I don't care how much of a feminist movement, third wave, fourth wave, radical, I don't care where you feel like you stand, how equal you feel like you are to a man. Let me tell you something. As a woman, once you soil yourself, stain yourself, become of a certain reputation, even if you climb up out of the gutter by the hook of your nails and the end of your toes, the people that knew you in that place aren't going to let go of that. And I hate to say it. And I'm telling you something that I experienced personally. People will smile in my face on a day-to-day basis, but if you sit down and have a conversation about Black women and single mothers, you'll find out how they really feel. And I know you might be like, "Oh, well, you're not a single mother anymore." No, I'm not, but I was. And to know that that's how you look down on people. And let me just say this. Here's what I don't like about all the single mom bashing. Okay. I'm not saying it in no way am I trying to excuse it. It is wrong, period. Okay. Keep them closed till you get married. However, what I don't like is a lot of people will bash single mothers the whole time they're murderers themselves. I don't know if y'all needed a few minutes to think about that. Okay. But it's a lot of unalivers out here that will look down, talk down upon a woman with children. In the meantime, you literally got skeletons in your closet. Again, emotional immaturity, okay? Because your thought process at that point is, well, at least I don't have kids, so I'm better than her. If I'm lying, please tell me I'm lying, but I'm pretty sure I'm not. I'm pretty sure I'm not. Okay. And so getting into that, how dare you, a single mother with children, how can you open your mouth to make a demand that you want a man that doesn't have any kids? How how dare you? It's it's just, it's like somebody giving you a pair of used boots. You wouldn't want that. You wouldn't want that at all, but y'all feel like y'all can say, "Yeah, I know I've been through all this, but I want somebody that's brand spanking new." Why? So you can ruin them? I know y'all saw that article about Marcus Houston, Roger from Sister Sister, talking about he don't like to date women his age with kids because they got too much baggage. But in the meantime, you started grooming that child when she was 12. That's how y'all sound like some pervs for real. Yeah, they brag about it. Exactly. They brag about it. And so we get into this eternal childhood factor because we feel like no matter what, we should be viewed as innocent, as pure, as some naive little fawn who just happened to fall into the wrong hands. When the fact of the matter is, no, we just keep making the wrong choices. And because we won't take accountability for our choices, we'll keep making those same wrong choices again and again and again. You're not, you are not, like, you're not as innocent as you would like to portray yourself to be. You're not as innocent as you would like to show yourself when it comes to the dating market, okay? And it's very showing and telling, um, the amount of older Black women that are okay with dating younger boys. I'm gonna go ahead and call y'all out on that. It's the same things that you say about older men who date younger women. Oh, he just with her because he can't mentally, he's not mentally strong enough to handle a woman his own age. He just with her because she's silly and because she's stupid and because she'll let him do whatever. All praise to the most high. It's the same thing, right? It, it it's the same. You're doing the same thing that you complain about men doing. But again, we've been conditioned, brainwashed, if you will, into feeling like, oh, because the Black woman has just had to struggle throughout, anything that we do is okay. And the people around us have to deal with it and they have to tolerate it. And a lot of us are starting to find out now that that's not true because y'all ending up lonely. Don't nobody want to be bothered with you. Why? You never listen. You can't regulate your own emotions. You can't regulate your own emotions, but you insist on going out here and getting in these relationships, having these children, and now y'all all a big mess. And even after 40 years of this behavior. We still, and there are women older than me who still refuse to look in the mirror and say, no, this is what I've been doing wrong. And this is what I mean by the eternal childhood. Always feeling like, oh, I'll get another chance. Oh, tomorrow will come. Oh, someone will forgive me. Oh, if I tell myself I'm a secondary version, then everyone has to believe me and go along with this crap. It falls in line with the woke agenda in terms of not body shaming. Oh, you can't call me out for this. You can't shame me for that. In the midst of confusing us, changing our names, changing us from Negro to African American. I don't know if you all remember, but like in the 90s, they started kind of pushing hip hop as a culture onto us. Um, it started as just music, right? It was just music, it was dancing. Sure, it was something you did on the weekends, something that you participated in at parties. It was a part of your life. It was not meant to be life. But through effective marketing and propaganda, now we're at a point where we're given this enigma, if you will, um, of a thing and have it being called our culture. The problem with this, besides the fact that it's an out and out lie, um, is that the depiction of the inhabitants of this culture, and by inhabitants of this culture, I mean black people. The depiction of black people in this culture is the lowest of the low that black people have to offer. And before you say, "Oh, not just black people listen to hip hop," white kids buy more rap records than anyone else. Yes, that is true. But like we all just witnessed in Ghost, them white kids can dip and dabble in this little game. They can rap, they can break dance, they can sell drugs, they can DJ, they can do whatever they want. And then when they are finished, they will take off their baggy clothes and their chains, and they will put on their suits, and they will go to their daddy's companies, and they will live their lives like they know how. This is what and I don't understand why we haven't figured this out yet. We've been given a culture. Yes, given a culture. We don't come from um a ravenously murderous people. We come from a people of law and order. There are commandments and statutes. We have ceremonies and rites and rituals. There are things that you have to do in order to be in good standing in our culture originally, our God given identity. Okay, but now that we are living in this man made world where hip hop is our culture, anything goes. What defines the guidelines of this hip hop culture? What are the tenements of this hip hop culture when it comes to the behavior of the people? We all know the pillars of hip hop: rapping, b-boying, graffiti, something else. It's like 5 of them or something like that, right? But let's look at it like we look at any other culture, okay? If you go, let's say you end up in Italy and you're there to observe the culture. What do? You watch the people, you read their books, you listen to their music. So, if we take yourself out of it. You never heard a rap song a day in your life. You don't know what the hood is. You have no idea what is a ghetto. Okay. Put yourself in that mindset. And now, if you would just so happen to go turn on BET or any rap video on YouTube, I'm pretty sure that you will see the same elements. There's going to be drugs, there's going to be violence, there's going to be gratuitous sex, there's going to be a lot of money flying around, these kind of things. Okay. So, as an observer of culture, let's go for some sightseeing. Let's go to Atlanta. Let's go to Houston. Let's go to Dallas. Let's go to New York. Let's go to LA. Let's go to these places that these people talk about in these songs and see what we see, the places that they claim to be in these videos, and see what we can see. Let's travel to the 10th Streets in Newark. I don't know how many of y'all are familiar with the 10th Streets, but those are the places to especially avoid. I can tell you about a few summers ago, I was coming home from working at Cablevision in Newark, and I had to drive up from downtown. Did I come up Broad Street? I think I came up Broad Street, and then I came up South Orange Ave. That's the way I went home. The first time I ever saw the scene of a shooting and a body hanging out of a car was in that situation. Okay. I saw some horrible things. Horrible things. Okay. So just take that and put it anywhere in any of these cities, because all these rappers love to tell us where they're from. All right. You don't even have to go that far. Google Chicago, Google violence in Chicago. You know what I'm saying? It's easy to find. So what have we concluded so far about the citizens of hip hop? Well, according to their music and according to the violence that we can easily observe, we see women on a scale, on a large scale, with children with no husband present. Okay. That's undeniable. And this isn't about Black men being active in their children's lives. No, I'm talking about husbands being present in the home with the kids. Again, just as an observer, you see grown men jobless. I'm talking in the hood now. I mean, it's been what 9 years for me since I came back. Okay, so, but I don't think it's that far off, because it seems like every time you go back, it's the same people doing the same stuff. So it's the same people selling drugs and their children. It's the same women sitting around every day, congregating with each other every day, not working any jobs every day. So now, if I'm observing this hip hop culture, what am I to conclude about these people? The men don't work, the women don't work. The men that are making money they're all selling drugs. And you may think that I'm being ridiculous, but what we have to remember is that there are people in the world who have never saw a Black person in their life, and what they know about us only comes from TV. I wish I was making this up, but I promise you I'm not. And here to put some extra sauce on it, there are other American, and when I say America, I'm talking about the whole Americas, North, Central, South, and the islands. Okay. So there are other American descendants of slaves who have never ran into one of us continental descendants, and therefore their only all they know about us comes from the same TVs and movies. Well, let's look at what's on TV about us. I just mentioned Ghosts. And let's go back to Power. Okay? Tasha didn't want her man going legit. Come on, how immature is that? But y'all refuse to look at Tasha as the bad guy. But if you tell the truth, Tasha was. I'm blaming Tasha for the whole thing. Okay, let's look at. Oh God, and y'all know I love my reality TV, but honestly, if you're looking at Real Housewives of Atlanta, real like these examples of Black women, the ones who are married have no respect for their husband at all. Married or not, they're always almost halfway naked. Even the professionals. Let's stop and think about that, okay? Because even on Married to Medicine, where you have Dr. Heavenly, Dr. Simone, Dr. Jackie, Dr. Contessa, there's with degrees. But when you look at them, what do you see? TNA, A&T. Why? Why is it that even the most highly educated among us will stoop as low that low? What is it for? Because you have, in order to get on these platforms, you have to be living already what's called an aspirational lifestyle. And I get it. They're not necessarily asking for income verification. However, you had enough resources to front your way onto this platform. The only thing that I could think that would push you forward like that would be greed. It has to be greed. Because there are other things that you can do to make other money. You don't have to come on this TV show and embarrass yourself screaming and hollering at other grown women while y'all half naked. But that's what it is, and that's what they're doing. And again, if I'm observing this culture from the outside looking in, what am I to think of these women who can't even sit down and have a normal conversation without one of them snapping on the other? And I understand. Look, I get the element of drama. I get entertainment. I understand that watching someone's regular life would probably be boring. I understand all that. But it's leaving us in a position where we're portrayed as immature, um, not not able to communicate clearly, effectively, at an adult level, really. Um, it shows us as being impulsive, right? Because what are they always doing? Drinking, shopping, eating. And I know you're like, oh, well, they show, they might do a little community service event, blah, blah, blah. At the community service event, they fighting though. At the community service event, they arguing about who got more money and who paid for this and who's sitting in the VIP and it's it's never good. It's never good. We're never painted as whole, healthy, productive women. Anytime you may start to see a glimpse of that, those women are kicked off the show. I remember when Kim Fields was on there. And she wasn't with all that mess. She wanted to go home with her husband and work on making money. And she was only on there for one season. They got rid of her. And the problem with this is these are the role models that our children are given. I was listening to Candace Owens today, and she was talking about how Lizzo is praised for being overweight. And how, she's constantly being told that she's beautiful and she's healthy and all this other stuff. So then Candace Owens says, well, why don't we start telling anorexics that they're beautiful? How come people with bulimia aren't told that they're fabulous? You can't you can't have one set of standards for one situation or group or thing and then want to change those set of standards depending depending on how you feel at that moment. Okay. This is I was reading this week about lack of executive impulse control in your brain. Um, and they were saying that if you were raised by a mom who yelled at you a lot, your mother most likely lacked this control and you were likely to also exhibit that behavior. And I hate reading stuff like that because I'm like, oh shoot, is that me? Like, I did grow up with the yeller. And so for a long time, like I myself was the same way. And it's really, I don't want to say like mind blowing, but it really does kind of play tricks with your head as you begin to learn about these patterns of behavior and see how it's affected you in your life, right? And that's a part of growing up that we have to do. However, um to tie this to what Candace was saying about the anorexics, she was saying that when she was going through her eating disorder, it was the talking down of it in society that let her know that it was a problem because her family didn't know. So they couldn't tell her like this isn't really healthy, you shouldn't be doing this. All she had was the magazines and the media who were pointing out other like overly skinny celebrities and talking about how they weren't healthy and they needed help. And that let her know, oh, okay, this something is wrong with this. I don't need to be acting like this. But now we're at a day and time where there's no such boundary in the media at all. There's nobody there to say, ew, that's not healthy. You shouldn't be doing this. We're at a day and time now where everything goes. Anything you want to, anything, do what thou wilt. That's where we're at now in our society. And I don't understand how you can't see that. If you see how the eligibility community is just out here flaunting, doing what they want to do. Now we have to have laws to stop men from dressing up as women and showing their body parts to children. But so let's go back. Oh, sorry. Okay, the light went out. So let's go back to identifying the culture, right? Because we were talking about where do you get the tenements for hip hop? Where do you get your guidelines from? Just like those of us who are aware and accept the fact that we are the people of the Bible. We're going to go to the Bible for our tenements, for our guidelines, for our ways. This is where we're going to find out how we live, how we're supposed to live our lives. When a Buddhist wants to find out about their culture, how to live their life, they go to their book. When a Muslim wants to find out about how to live their life, they go to the Quran. When a Black person in America wants to find out about how to live their life, and all they know is hip hop to be their culture, they have no place to go but the media, the music, the TV, popular culture, all these things. And so this is where they're going to get their tenements from. And as we discussed before, we all know what that is. Oh, you're not sure? Turn on the TV and see what you see on television. See what you see us doing on TV. Think about the person who you consider ghetto in your family or your friend group. You have that picture in your mind, right? And like I said, it's so bad. It's so bad that even those among us who are supposed to be role models, those among us who are supposed to be of a higher echelon, a higher caliber, even they degrade themselves to the basest of behavior in order to be accepted by the lowest of those among us. And I hate to say that. I hate to say it like that, but it's true. It is true. Every anytime you have a group of Black women, that it never fails. There's arguing, there's drama, it never fails. And so, what do our daughters have? And in some cases, some of us, because some of us haven't really got the message. So, but what do we have to tell us that this is wrong? That this is not what we should be doing? We there are not a lot of resources in that area. And before y'all start talking about the church, Black women in Black church are some of the most emotionally immature people in the world. How do I say that? There are no Black men in church. That should be your first sign. There is a reason that our grandmothers and them would start looking at you crazy if you weren't married by a certain age. And instead of us accepting reality and understanding that just naturally there are things that are supposed to occur at a certain time in our life, instead of us accepting this, we'll blame the whole world. We'll tell everyone else that they're wrong because it can't possibly be me. We'll tell the men in our life that their masculinity is toxic. We'll tell the men in our life that they're not fit to lead because you don't have a good reason to tell that man he's not fit to lead. Truth be told, but your grandmama and them and your auntie and them told you about a man who left his family and he did this and he did that and ain't no good men. And so we're at a point where there's literally a vacuum of stable, mature, um, sound, wise, intelligent Black women. The the pool of role models for Black women who are trying to live biblically is slim. It's slim. There is no shortage, however, of examples on how to go the other way. We have been so convinced that as long as we can be book smart and as long as we can earn our degrees and have our careers, that that's all we need in life. We don't need a man. The funniest thing that I continue to hear is women saying that they don't need a man, but then talk about how they have to get sperm to have a baby. Hilarious to me, considering that a man is the only thing that you can get sperm from to make this baby. But like I said before, if you have to deviate, if you have to pay for something that should be free naturally, there's a sign of a problem. And I know this might like ruffle some feathers when I say this, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. What you're starting to see now is women wanting to freeze their eggs because they're not ready to have kids now. They want to do it later, but they want to make sure that they're going to have good enough eggs. It's a bunch it's a lot of unnecessary bull plop. I'm gonna say it like that. It's a lot of unnecessary bull plop. There's a lot of money that you are spending unnecessarily. There is a lot of drugs that you are introducing into your body unnecessarily. Listen, there's no way to get around it. A woman's primary role is the birther and the carer of children. There is a limited amount of time in your life to do that. We continue to fall in line with science, which is just determined to make the will of God null and void in our lives. I mean, think about it. You don't need a man, you don't need a husband to have a baby, you don't need a healthy, stable two-parent home, you don't need a godly example. Just come to the sperm bank and pick up some sperm and have your baby and go on about your way. And then still have the nerve to be angry at men. Like, I call it the eternal childhood because instead of learning to cooperate with a man, you'll stay single and lonely for the rest of your life. You will convince yourself that loneliness is better than cooperation. That's literally what you've convinced yourself of. And here's what else. Here's the other thing. A lot of y'all, oh, I can't stand men. They get on my nerves. Da 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 da. But you're still sleeping with them. You're still sleeping with them. Won't marry him, but you'll sleep with him. Won't marry him, you'll shack up with him. And I'm not talking to those of y'all that's shacking up waiting for him to ask you. See, a lot of us, well, y'all, because it ain't me. A lot of y'all are delusional. You'll sit here and tell the people around you, oh, I don't need to get married. What is marriage? A piece of paper. But in the meantime, when you at home, you hounding him about when he gonna put a ring on it, when y'all gonna get married, or if you got a ring, well, when can I get a wedding date? There's a show that my husband absolutely hates that I'm watching right now called Put a Ring on It. Okay. And on this show, it's like they take three couples and one of the people in the couple want to get married, and it's usually always the woman. The solution that the show provides is for them to date other people to assess if they want to be married or not. Not and I can admit that it's stupid. That is a stupid premise. However, it's very you know what, Angelina? No, she didn't. They hate men, but still collecting their bodies. Period. um, it's very interesting to watch though, like how the people like it's funny to watch how the men and the women react during the dates. And a lot of the women, when they get on there, they try to act like they don't care, they don't care, they don't care. But, ma'am, sis cousin, you brought this man on television because he didn't want to marry you. But then you sit back and watch him go out on dates with other women, listening to this crazy doctor. Cause I don't listen, the doctor is crazy herself. Listening to her tell you, oh, just let it happen. Just I am not in the habit of lying to myself about how I feel at any given time. Okay. And we've talked about this before. The longer that you lie to yourself, go through a thing, expose yourself to a thing, the less that it bothers you. So the more that you sit there and tolerate behavior that you don't like, even when it's from yourself. And here's the key, not about nobody else. Because at the end of the day, even those women on that show, they signed up for that. They decided to expose themselves to that kind of behavior. So let's talk about you and the behavior that you tolerate from yourself, the things that you'll go along with. When God never told you not nowhere to do no such a thing, have nothing to do with it. But you just keep going along with it. Why? And here's what I'm talking about, the eternal childhood. When are you going to take responsibility? Because at this point, the things aren't happening to you. You're kind of letting it happen. You're making it happen by the choices and decisions that you make. Life is the sum total of your choices and decisions. You'll get involved with a man, even though God told you not to. You'll get involved with this man. You'll go through it. He'll break your heart. You'll cry. And then, in the midst of your crying, you still crying, and here comes somebody else just like him. It'll be the same red flags. He'll do the exact same things old boy did. But you, in your eternal childhood, in your lack of accountability, your lack of self-reflection, your lack of self-control, you just continue to go along with it. And even for those of us who are married, this is relevant in other areas of your life too. When it comes to how you communicate with your spouse, we, for some reason, are fluffed up to believe that we should only ever be talked to a certain way. And if he can't say nice, kind words to me, then he doesn't deserve to be talking to me at all. And I really feel like this comes from our lack of fathers in the home and not seeing how a man and a woman can cooperate, how a man is at home. That's different because everyone is different outside the house. When I'm outside, you meet my representative. I'm not walking up to people like, yo, I'm not walking up to people like that. People in the street aren't walking up to me like, yo, Ray, Ray. It's not like that. No, hello, I'm Ray Shanette. I'm Mrs. Phillips. Okay. That's who you get. Oh, sorry, y'all. My earring. I hate when I do this. I just lost my train of thought. I forgot where I was, y'all. I did, but okay. Let's go back to the main topic and we'll take it from there. Well, I really, this all came to me like last week, and I had to cancel the show, right? After the whole incident with the teacher. And I didn't want to bring it up again because I'm like, oh, it's probably been talked out. You know, people are tired of hearing it. But the reason it made me think about this is because, first and foremost, I feel like as an adult, the situation should have never got to the point of violence. Um, n- Not saying that the kid was totally innocent, okay? But there's a reason that adults are put in charge of children. The adult is supposed to have the maturity, the foresight, the life experience to say, this seems to be getting a little above my pay grade. Let me go get some help. The adult should have had enough sense to say, okay, there has to be a different way to handle this so that everything is just not disturbed. As an adult, we're supposed to have, again, the emotional maturity and the self control to be able to look a few steps ahead. But unfortunately, we it's the reaction. It was the reaction from so many black women saying, "Oh, I would have did this, or I'd have whooped this, I'd have did that, and she'd have never," and da da da. And it's like nobody feels like that this should have never happened in the first place. Nobody feels like that. Nobody is where is the expectation from the grown woman in the situation? You're literally reducing what is supposed to be a grown woman to the emotional maturity of a teenager. That's literally what happened. And there are so many people that are okay with this. And it's just boggling to me how all these grown women are championing this grown woman beating on this child. And then to sit on top of her with her whole behind out. Nobody's out. And here's the thing, nobody's outraged about that. Nobody's outraged about this teacher being at school with her behind out. And no, I don't care how she was sitting, her shorts shouldn't have been that short for all of that to show. But no, that's not what we're outraged about. Everyone's mad at the teenager. And if the adults are held to the same standards as teenagers, what are the kids gonna do? What are the who are the babies gonna look up to? In our, I in our quest to remain young, and I feel like Black women, I feel like we do this, oh, black don't crack, 40's the new 30. Again, I feel like we use this as another mechanism to avoid responsibility for our behavior, because if I'm young, oh, there's always tomorrow for me to fix it. I've heard lecture after lecture on the perpetual immaturity of the Black male, but nobody points out the perpetual immaturity of the Black woman. We like to talk about how rappers like to call themselves little this and little, well, you see you see the same kind of monotone behavior from Black women in hip hop as well. Everybody looks the same. Everybody's got their body done. Everybody's talking about the same thing. It's all about sex and drugs and drugs and sex. And oh, I got my heart broke. But there's not even a change up in the aesthetic. Everyone looks the same. Everyone acts the same. Everyone has the same goal. There's no representation of any kind of emotional health, mental well being. We're looking at a generation of women who refuse to acknowledge their need for a man. And again, on the loudest scale, it's, yes, it is all dysfunctional. On the loudest scale, it's mostly us. It's mostly us. Even in this world of white man serial killers and Jeffrey Epstein and the Lolita Express, even in this world of all that going on, the Black woman is the only one that continues to publicly bash her man and act as if he is a non factor. It is a perpetual emotional temper tantrum. It is a everlasting emotional temper tantrum, because I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And we get this whole my way or the highway rhetoric from that old fable of old Big Mama who held it down for everybody. When I'm not saying that some women didn't have to, but I'm going to need some of you all to start to look at your elders and your ancestors through the same eyes of humanity that you look at yourself, realizing that just like you, they had good parts and bad parts, good days and bad days, pros and cons. Everyone has flaws and strengths. So maybe, just maybe, Big Mama and them didn't always tell the story right. Maybe, just maybe, Big Mama and them wasn't always fair in the storytelling. If anything, I would hope that this recent uncovering of history, even though it's happening on a global scale, I would think that it would cause us to think twice about some of the beliefs and some of the things that we hold to in our lives. Just sit back and take a look around and ask yourself, why none of my aunties married? Why none of my cousins married? Why everybody a single mom? Everybody a baby daddy? Nobody's a husband, nobody's a wife. What is going it can't be everybody else all the time. And here, what I'm not saying, I don't like to even address the issue of black men because that's another problem. We want to go tit for tat, right? Like when something is brought up, well, if they would, this not about them because as long as we keep going back and forth, nobody's ever going to change. It has to start with us taking some kind of accountability. Listen, to my 30, my 40s, my 50, 60-year-old ladies, you're never going to be 20 again. You're never going to be a teenager again. You're never going to be 20 again. You're not going back to college. That time in your life is done. And all you're doing by trying to live in the past is hurting yourself. Your eyes keep looking backwards, eventually your body's going to start walking backwards as well. And why do you think some people never get out of the hood? They start focusing on the fun. They want to sit on the stoop all day. That's appealing to them. And as much as they may try to say, "Oh, well, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that," they can't take their eyes off the stoop. And so their body is never going to go anywhere. You can hold on to them lies. You can hold on to the fables. You can hold on to the stories and try to let that keep you warm at night. Or you can get up and look in the mirror and have a real conversation with yourself and realize like, no, I need to change. I need to talk to the Lord and figure out what I need to do. What I want isn't working. What I'm trying here is not working. I keep going in the same circles over and over and over again. And it's not just dealing with men. In your finances, you keep going through the same circles over and over and over again. It seems like, oh, I got a little money. Maybe I can make a change. But you do the same things over and over and over again. And next thing you know, you done spent all that money on makeup, bottles at the club, and McDonald's, and you're back at the same place trying to figure out how you're going to pay your rent next month. I cannot tell y'all how much I thank God for my husband because I was like that. There have been thousands, tens of thousands of dollars that have passed through my hands over the years. And I listen, if I would have been with my husband, I can't tell y'all where we would be by now, okay? um, but I have to, yeah, I'm gonna blame myself. You know, as much as I want to say, well, I wasn't really taught financial awareness, I wasn't. Okay, but at some point, I should have been like, okay, I need to do better. So at some point, and if this is your point, then let this be your point. You have to do better. And see, here's the thing: a lot of us, people focus on vanity over the purpose of our exactly. Yes, we do that. And so we start spending our money on frivolous things that amount to nothing. Um, and a lot of us need to accept that in and of ourselves, we are not capable of the things that God has planned for us. Um, and I'm saying in and of ourselves because a lot of y'all try to get to the happy ending without God. You feel like, well, I'm gonna just, follow this plan, go to school, go to college, work the career, climb up the ladder, retire and die. And you feel like, oh, well, I'll just breeze through life like that. And for some reason, it's not working. You keep bumping your head over and over again. You keep making the same mistakes over and over again. And until you acknowledge him in all of your ways, and until you allow him to give you the desires of your heart, you're going to continue to keep bumping your head. And again, when I say allow him to give you the desires of your heart, I'm not saying wait on God to bring you every earthly thing that you feel like you desire now. No, what I'm saying is get before him, spend some time with him, talk to him, and the things that you want will change. I sometimes when I'm feeding the chicks or doing something like in the garden, and I just have to stop and look at my life like, am I really doing this? Like, is this really what I'm doing right now? I could not have pictured this for myself. It's like, yeah, these are things that I would talk about, but to picture it, to want it, to see it, that's something totally different. And what I'm saying to y'all is until we decide to change our mind, to move forward, until we decide that we're going to leave the ghetto behind, that we're going to leave the world behind, because let's face it, the world is ghetto. The world is ghetto. And what I'm meaning by ghetto for the context of this conversation is anything beneath the law of God, anything beneath the standard of the Most High. It's freaking ghetto. And so the thought processes, again, this culture that we've been handed, it's a hot ghetto mess. The things that yes, exactly. Yep. Okay. It's ghetto. Anything eating pork is ghetto. Okay. Eating shellfish is ghetto. It's ghetto. That's below the standards of the Most High. Not keeping the Sabbath, ghetto. Who wants to work 7 days a week? Okay. So as long as you are living in this substandard way, you're going to keep getting substandard results. And here's the thing, right? Like, are you going to are you going to woman up? Are you going to put on your big girl panties and decide that you're going to be the one that's going to be the end to all this generational drama, all these curses, all this trauma that continues to follow your bloodline? Are you going to be the one to stand up and put an end to it? Or are you just going to keep letting it go on and wait for the next person to be born to decide? Because think about it. How long has the mess been going on in your bloodline? How long? Sex before marriage is very much ghetto. Your mama went through it. Her mama went through it. Her mama went through. So how many more mothers have to go through it? And I know some of y'all might be saying, well, it's too late. It's not too late for you to sit down and talk. It's not too late for you to team up with God to figure out how to make it better. That's what it's never too late for. You may have already made the mistakes. You might already be a single mom. You might already be divorced. Okay. And so today, what can we do? Let today be the start of something new. You can't keep putting it off. And this is one of the ways I feel like the world gets us trapped in their timing, right? It's always like new year, new month. No, today, right now, the new second is fine to decide to start changing your life and your thought process. This very second right here is fine. It's new. You've never seen it before, and you're never going to see it again. You can't want. We're all dysfunctional because you got grandmothers trying to be mothers. You got mothers trying to be daughters. And the daughters have no one to tell them what to do. The daughters have no one to lead them. We're leaving our daughters out here to figure it out on their own. And I don't know if you remember, but I remember a time when Black girls just didn't do certain things. Fellatio? No, Black girls don't do that. There was a time when this was a thing. Like, no, the other women were loose, but black girls weren't like that. But now some, I'm gonna say 30 at the maybe 30, 40 years later, it's total opposite. Black girls do everything and they'll do it on TV if you give them enough money. Total opposite that we're living in right now. So there was a time when we as a whole, as a group, as a collective had a set of morals and standards. There were certain things that black women just didn't do. But now it's like we've kind of went back to we have adapted the colonist mindset about us. If you ever listen to any lectures on genocide, on eugenics, they will talk about how in order to get a populace to turn on another race of people, you have to first dehumanize them. You have to make them seem um undesirable. You have to make it seem to others that these people are the worst of the worst. They are the carriers of disease. They are the bringers of violence. They carry and perpetuate all forms of debauchery. These people will be the death of us and our children. If you can't see that happening with black people right now, then I am very, very concerned for your worldview, period. Even our children are not allowed to be children. And we are the ones that are doing this to them. I remember coming home after school and being able to escape to some fantasy land and like Rainbow Bright or Bugs Bunny or nothing too serious. I remember shows for teenagers, right? Like when Nickelodeon had all that on Saturday night. And like there were shows that were just for the tweens, the 10 to 12. And back in our day, there was not all this sexuality involved. The most raciest thing they may have dealt with was drugs. Y'all remember when Jesse took them pills on Saved by the Bell? That was like the worst thing. There were drugs. When Carlton found the speed pills in Will's locker, it wasn't about do I like boys or do I like girls? Do I want am I in the right body? There was none of that. Right? And I'm bringing that up to show how maybe in past generations there was some assistance from society in terms of keeping the reins on people, keeping the reins on our morality, on our development. But now it's like the gloves are off and none of that stuff matters anymore because the kids are being introduced. The children, the babies are being introduced to the eligibility community and same-sex parenting. I saw a cartoon. I forgot what cartoon it was, but it was two dinosaurs and they were like kicking a rock and there were some kids over there and they were like, "Oh, it's two dads and they want to have a baby and that's so sad that the two dads can't have a baby." This is what they're teaching to our children. So there's no hope is what I'm saying. You can't leave it up to society at all anymore. Our parents were at least able to sit us in front of Sesame Street and we weren't wondering if Bert and Ernie was gay. That thought never crossed my mind. But unfortunately now And I want to say this to those of us who have come from the black church. Just think and just look back to the kind of women that we grew up around. They're even drawing cartoons a certain way to introduce them to sex. It is very sick, and they're getting blatant with it at this point. And I really feel like this whole trans agenda with children, the whole agenda to get children to have all these sex changes, having children taking hormones, I really believe that is pushing this whole age of consent agenda. Because if a child can consent to sex changes, if a child is aware of their gender, if a child is aware of their sexuality, then in these perverts' minds, then this child is old enough to consent to sex. There are people who are pushing for the age of consent to be, I've heard 8, and I've also heard as low as 4. And so, again, you give the devil an inch, he's going to take a mile. And these people, I very much blame the parents. I very much believe that this is a case of parents trying to live vicariously through their children and subjecting their children to all manners of hell. Because if you hear the story of these people who are now detransitioning, they're all sick. They can't function. They're all depressed. Like, they are jacked up. And there's no way out for them. Once you put those hormones in your body and it starts affecting you, there's no reversal. These kids are literally being experimented on. And it's crazy, right? Because it's like all the stuff that they used to only do to black people, they doing it to anybody. They don't care. They do not care. We have to watch our kids. Listen, even if you're saying, "Hey, it's too late for me," and I'm here to tell you, ma'am, sis, cousin, that as long as there is breath and life and hope, it's not too late for you. It's not too late for you. Listen, I'm not saying that if you're a single mother, you can't have standards when it comes to men. You absolutely should. But for anyone, single mom or not, your standards should be realistic and fair. Fair. Ma'am, sis, cousin, if you dropped out of high school and you got your GED, I think it's a little unrealistic for you to demand someone have a degree. You haven't even put yourself in the environment to meet someone with a degree. You haven't even been to college, is what I'm saying. You haven't even put yourself in that environment for that to happen. So how can you demand a thing that you're not around, you're not familiar with? You don't even have access to these type of men. You're doing your own self a disservice when you fail to realize, like, like you demanding that a man be making 6 figures when you only make 4. It's like demanding water in a desert. You want something that is just not there. Well, that's not, see, don't tell me it's not fair. Show me, show me realistically where this has happened. And don't show me no dang on Tyler Perry movie, because even in the Tyler Perry movies, the man is always broke. It's like, I know some of y'all might not like say, might not like what I'm about to say, but I feel like it's very realistic. Ma'am, if you was 160 pounds when that man met you, and for whatever reason, you are now 190, 200 pounds, and that man comes to you and says, you know, I miss you the way you were. It is your responsibility to fix that. And I know you might be like, oh, that's not fair. You can't say that. You know, women go through changes. Yes, I do. I understand women go through changes. I get it. But you're the same person who you have your standards, right? Can your man go to his job tomorrow and quit and come home and say, I just don't want to work no more. I just don't feel like working no more. I just don't want to. And I know you might be like, what does one thing have to do with the other? It's a need for your spouse. You need financial support. He needs you to look a certain way. I'm not talking about being ridiculously unrealistic. Listen, okay, we've had some kids, things may not be as tight as they once were. You know, you might have a little extra pocket of fat here or there that you can't get rid of. But no, I'm talking about y'all that just sit up and refuse to change, refuse to do anything, and then get mad when he leave you for somebody smaller. But he said he asked you. He said it. He offered to work out with you. He bought you a treadmill. He got you the diet plan. And in your immature and childish mind, again, even though you exacted all these standards because he had to have the job to get with you, he had to have the degree, the car, he couldn't be living in his parents' house. You've exacted all these standards. He done took you off your job. You don't have to worry about nothing. Okay, but let's skirt. Let's back up because it ain't even got to go that far. This man married you, and gave you a family, and everything else, but you can't be bothered to because you have been lied to all your life and been told that you deserve everything you want with no effort on your part. It's the only way that these women sit here and listen. I don't like the whole pick me term. I don't like that because I feel like it's a little misleading. Um, the wrong women get labeled a pick me, right? I'm not saying pick me's aren't a thing, but the wrong women get labeled. It's like if you agree with a man for any reason, then you're labeled a pick me. So I don't necessarily like that term, but there's nothing there's nothing wrong with teaming up with your man to get to where you want to be. There's nothing wrong with that. So don't let people don't let people make you don't let people mislead you. I'm gonna just say it like that. And my problem with a lot of these women is they're given the advice from a worldly viewpoint. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have standards. You absolutely should. You should not let nobody come at you with no kind of way or anything like that. But you also have to have some kind of standards about yourself. You go to you say you're going to shop for makeup, okay? You know what brand you want, you know what foundation you want, you know exactly the foundation you need. This is the same foundation you get every time. You take the empty bottle with you to Ulta to make sure that you match it up exactly. And then you get there and they don't have the exact one that you want. You are not going to just take the next available. Why? Because you know what you want is out there and you know you can afford it. So you're not going to settle for a backup. So why should a man settle for a backup when what he wants is out there and he knows he can afford it? See, we don't like that when it's turned around on us, but that's what a lot of you all are asking these men to do. You're asking them to accept you with your bad attitude, your horrible cleaning habits, your lack of hygiene, your lack of self-care to your natural self. I'm not talking about the wigs and the weaves. I'm talking about your own natural hair. Okay. You don't want to talk about that. And the Lord God said it's not good for man to be alone. I will make a help me for him. And I don't know why we don't why we don't embrace this, y'all. I refuse to understand. I cannot think of another parent like I guess it's hard to say because men and women are kind of like this only example. I mean, we're humans, right? Um and I get it. I guess the term help meet sounds kind of subservient. Um and in this world we have been taught to be a servant is a bad thing. Especially us women, right? We're taught that don't let your family pile you with all their housework and you don't have to cook and clean and you don't have to um be demeaned to just caring for your family. You're more powerful than that. And so also this is a disadvantage I feel for women who refuse to partner with a man and build something. You don't ever get to see your power in action. Your power comes when you're walking in your position as a helpmeet. Yes, I'm not saying women aren't capable of doing things by themselves. That's not what I'm saying at all. But what I'm telling you is the blessing, the extra that comes from cooperating with your husband as he's following the most high. That is something that no amount of hustle, no amount of networking, no amount of money can ever buy you. And we continue to cheat ourselves from out of these experiences, out of these life lessons, out of this wisdom, knowledge, and learning because in our perpetual childhood, we just expect to show up and have everything provided for us. And hear what I'm saying, all right? Y'all are imposing generational wealth standards that you don't even have yourself. You want a man to come prepared with a private jet and multiple homes, and you want to you want to have maids and cooks and staff and all this other stuff. Ma'am, sis, cousin, you don't live like that. Your mama don't live like that. Your daddy, your uncle, nobody around you lives that way. That's not within your realm of experience, your scope of reality. So why are you asking for something that you know is not realistically obtainable? And I know what you mean. I can have whatever I want. Okay. See, and this is what I hate about this is one thing I hate about prosperity gospel, that name it and claim it, the spirituality and the manifestation and all those teachings. I hate that because it totally skirts personal responsibility for achieving your goals. And it makes you feel like if I say these words or if I light this candle or if I think these thoughts hard enough, then these things will happen for me. No, ma'am, sis, cousin, listen, sometimes you just got to realize that you are where you are. You got them kids. You can't necessarily go back to school right now. You're not sure what you can do. All I can do is work this job for right now until something else come along. And that is your reality. That's your reality. And so look for something that's going to complement your reality. There are probably men that walk by you every day, but because they are not equipped with this fantasy wealth of yours, you overlook them and you go home lonely and depressed. And then get mad when some new chick come and scoop him up. You want to be mad at her. She done took him. She done fixed him up, dressed him up, got him looking good and smelling good, pulled his resume together, done got him a new job. They about to, and you sitting there still with your mouth balled up talking about all men is dogs. No, ma'am. Maybe you're the dog. I know I'm probably not supposed to say that. But you're the problem. You're the one with the unrealistic expectations. No, all these men around here aren't looking for a size 5. They'll be happy with a size 14, 16, 10, 18, whatever. But you've decided that they're not good enough for you. You've decided that the men around you are not good enough for you. It's like it's like you're at Sotheby's, the auction house where they auction like all these expensive treasures and jewelry and art and just the most ridiculously priced things in the world. It's like you're there and somehow you got a paddle and you somehow you made it to the auction floor, but you know good and doggone well you can't afford anything. So all you can do is sit there and watch everybody else go home with their things and you get to go home alone again. And I'm not saying for you to want more, but I'm saying in order for you to get there, start in your reality. Where are you right now? Baby, ain't nothing wrong with working at Macy's. There's nothing wrong with that. What can I build from this? What can I have in here? What are my social possibilities where I am? I'm not saying don't try to do more. Go to the museum, go to a basketball game, go to professional events at your area. Put yourself in the environment to get the things that you want. You want a college educated man, but you refuse to go where the college educated gather. You should not always be at the club. Try to go to a jazz concert. We ain't always got to turn up every weekend. There's a black art exhibit at this museum. There's a black author coming to do a reading at the library. There are things that you can do that will put you in the rooms that will help you to meet the people that you need to meet and live the life that you want to live. But you're never going to find it if you refuse to take personal responsibility and start building yourself up. And here's the other thing: you put yourself in these rooms, ma'am, sis, cousin, there's a certain way you have to look. There's a certain way you have to dress. There's a certain way you have to conduct yourself. This man who has worked so hard to get the esteem that he has and obtain the etiquette that he has does not want to come and pick you up off the turnip truck. Do something with yourself. I'm not saying that men are not to improve upon their women. My husband has improved upon me tremendously. But y'all, I knew how to act and how to carry myself at least. I had a decorum, I had etiquette. I believe it or not, y'all, I had a career, okay? I'd been to college. You got to, and I keep saying this, You've literally got to decide to put your big girl panties on and face what you need to face. Face your past decisions, face your past regrets. Face the face the people. Face the people. And yes, it's a process, it's a journey, it's going to take time. But you have to buckle down and you have to decide that this is what you're going to do for you. And like I tell y'all all the time, yes, you're going to mess up, you're going to make mistakes, you're going to fall down, get back up and keep on going. You Time doesn't stop. You're getting older every second, every day, every month, every year. You're getting older. Time will not stop. So no matter how much you try to, convince yourself that you're not as old as you think you are, baby, you are as old as you think you are, and you're probably older than you want to admit. And I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm saying that to kind of shake you up a little bit. Not only in terms of your chronological age, but just look at the day and time that we are living in. Things do not appear to be returning back to pre-COVID normal. If anything, it's gotten worse since COVID. You know what I'm saying? So, was you asleep? Oh, my show ender. What is the matter? Was he asleep? Oh, baby. Oh, my baby. He fell asleep waiting on me. All right, y'all. I hope something I said was helpful on today. If you listen to this later, whenever you listen to it, I hope something I said is able to help you on today with whatever you were dealing with. Please feel free to reach out to me if you need to. I am at the wife of Mono. You can DM me on IG. I'm also on TikTok and Facebook. Are you okay? Come here. You were asleep. Oh, my buddy. This is Atticus. Let me introduce you in case you don't know. But he's usually not like this. He usually up and turned. Did you take a shower?
No, I just want pajamas.
No, you just put on pajamas. Okay. As always, shout out to the hubby at Monologue Magad, MONOLOGMAGAD. Please follow him on your streaming platforms. Apple Music, Spotify, Tidal, all the places that they play music. I don't know. I'm an Apple Music girl myself. The kid, girl, I gotta do his hair. Y'all see his hair? I'm gonna do his hair tomorrow. It's crazy. We're going to the library tomorrow to return our library books. By the way, are you excited about that? Yes. Okay. Also, if you want to keep up with the bullies at Mono's Westside Bullies, we were about to have 2, maybe 3 litters on the ground here soon. Y'all pray for me. Pray for my strength, y'all. These dogs be taking me through it sometimes. If you feel led to give, to donate, to help with the cost of the lights and the cameras and the action and all that good stuff, please direct it to $ the House of Mono on Cash App. You want to get right here? Okay. On your Cash App. Again, like, share, subscribe to YouTube. Tell a friend if you're on Nasaya TV. I want to thank you for watching there. I am live every Thursday, 8 o'clock on the Nasaya TV app. You can download that on your Roku TV, your Apple TV, your Fire Sticks, whatever smart TV you have available. I'm trying to think. Do I need to go through anything else? If you're in the Metro Atlanta area, I don't know how many of y'all know this, but I need to start going through my sponsors again. One of our sponsors is Top Tier Parties, a local bouncy house company. They have like 7 different y'all know it's us. We got like 7 different bouncies. So if you want a bouncy for your party, we even have adult size bouncies. I know. So, feel free to hit us up on Facebook. We have pages for all our businesses as well. Are you okay? Look, he done crawled up in the chair and went to sleep, y'all. Yeah, we have pages for our businesses as well. Don't forget to scroll through the YouTube. There are videos, there are past episodes. You can see the past episodes on the Saya TV as well. They have the past episodes loaded there, but you can definitely see them all on our YouTube channel. If you're not there, the address is at Monologue Magad, MONOLOG MAGAD. Thank y'all for kicking it with me this evening. I'm like, I have all these thoughts and I try to collect them, but then I come to talk and they all just rush in. So I hope what I said was helpful. I hope you were able to like understand where I was going with it. But I think this is something we're definitely going to continue to talk about. Because it's something we definitely all need to get. Check on my TikTok. We planted some new plants in the garden. I think they're on there. If not, I'll probably try to go out tomorrow. It's been raining here, so I haven't actually been outside in a few days. But I'll try to go out there tomorrow, take videos, pictures, show y'all everything that we got going on out there. We got some stuff sprouting. We have pea pods, we have strawberries. The watermelon didn't start. Yes, it will start soon. We have the lime and the lemon trees that are starting to make leaves, so we hopefully will have some fruit from this soon. The pear and the plum tree. And lettuce. We have a bunch of lettuce. We have tons of lettuce outside, and I cut some. We had some the other day. It was good. Is that it? We got all kind of stuff out there: kale, collard greens, broccoli, spinach. I don't think we plant carrots. Radish, okra, watermelon, cucumbers for pickles. You already said watermelon? Okay, I'll make sure to show my sisters the channel. Please do. Please share, like, subscribe, turn on your notifications so you know when we go live. I want to do more than Thursdays, but our schedule is so crazy around here. So I'm gonna just try to like maybe start going live on like TikTok and IG more. I don't know, we'll figure it out. And I'm gonna start including y'all in more of our homeschool stuff. Listen, the way this world is going, if you can homeschool. Homeschool in Georgia is so easy. You just have to register, let them know that you're homeschooling for the year, and the rest is totally up to you. So please, with the way things are going, I strongly encourage you to homeschool. Even for the older kids, because even the older ones is wild. And there was a video today about a kid that stomped his teacher. This kid was like 6'6", and I think it was a middle schooler. Stomped his teacher because the teacher took his game, his Nintendo Switch. I don't know. I don't know what these teachers be thinking, but ain't no phone game. It ain't worth all that to me, baby. You can keep that thing. I'm gonna go get somebody else to deal with it. I'm not coming to work to get beat up. But and of course they couldn't show everything, but from what they showed, like the teacher was like laid out, like they took the teacher in the ambulance and the boy went to jail. So yeah, if you can homeschool. I'll start talking to y'all more about that and like just showing those parts of our day more. Yeah, I hope y'all enjoy the cooking videos, all that good stuff. You want to say good night? Good night. I love you. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I will see you again next Thursday. Same black time, same black station. Don't forget to follow me at the Wife of Mono on your socials. I love you. Shalom. Good night.